Welcome to Olympian Water Testing, giving you the best in water analysis. Today we're looking at USGS, Science for a Changing World, and mercury contamination of aquatic environments. So what is going on here? Mercury is to be one of the most fascinating elements around. Look at the bubbles of a bright silver sitting on a flat surface. It's easy to see why mercury is called quicksilver. That doesn't mean it's safe though. Mercury is the only metal that exists in liquid form, and it may act somewhat like water, but it's nothing at all like water, especially in the potential harmful effects it can have on humans and ecosystems. As we can see here, while it may look interesting, it's a dangerous heavy metal. So, mercury contamination of aquatic environments. Mercury Hg is a naturally occurring metal found primarily in a mineral called cinnabar, which can contain up to 86% mercury. People have been extracting mercury from cinnabar since at least the Roman times, and mercury is released through the natural weathering of rock or volcanic activity. However, the main source of mercury in the environment is from human activity through coal combustion, electric power generation, and industrial waste disposal. Once mercury is released in the environment, it can be converted to a biologically toxic form of methylmercury, MEHG. And that's what accumulates in fish, that's what accumulates in wildlife and aquatic systems, by microorganisms found in the soil and aquatic water. So why is mercury a concern? It's extremely poisonous, and we can absorb it by touch, inhalation, or consumption. And this can be especially through water or eating a lot of aquatic wildlife. And it builds up in the body with each exposure, and it is very difficult to remove. If you get too much in you can suffer from mercury poisoning, which is both unpleasant and potentially fatal. As you can see, the mercury health effects right here: deteriorating nervous system, impairs hearing, speech, vision, and gait, causes involuntary muscle movements, corrodes skin, mucous membranes, causes chewing and swallowing to become difficult. It's a concern because it is absorbed easily into the food chain, and the harmful methylmercury form of mercury is readily crossing biological membranes and can accumulate to harmful concentrations in the exposed organism and become increasingly concentrated up the food chain. So similarly put, tiny organisms can absorb mercury and then eat tiny ocean fish. They eat those organisms, and then larger fish eat the smaller fish. This means the large fish that eat the smaller fish are actually eating the accumulated mercury contained in the accumulated fish. And that's why it's such a detriment to aquatic life, because of the bioaccumulation can cause high levels of mercury in top predator fishes, which people eat, and have a detrimental effect on humans and on a fish eating wildlife. And what does this do to our ecosystems? Well, it's one of the most serious contaminants threatening the nation's waters because it's a potent neurological poison in fish, wildlife, and humans. It is a global pollutant that ultimately makes its way into every aquatic ecosystem through one of two routes: a point source discharges or atmospheric disposition. And it's deposited from atmosphere primarily as an inorganic material, methylene, and the conversion of inorganic mercury to organic methylmercury, which is what happens in water systems. And this is an important step in the methylmercury cycle because it greatly increases the toxicity and the potential for accumulation in aquatic organisms. And nearly all the mercury found in fish is methylmercury. So are fish unsafe to eat, and what can I do about that? Well, some fish may be unsafe to eat because of high levels of mercury. However, fish are an important part of a healthy diet, so the best thing people can do is to become informed. And how does it get into lakes and streams? Well, the main source to most aquatic environments in the United States is from atmospheric deposition. So, rain, snow, dry particles, things that happen in the environment. Some water bodies also receive mercury from direct discharge of industrial wastes, mining wastes, or naturally occurring mercury minerals. And has mercury always been in fish? Is it atmospheric mercury natural? Although there's always been some. There has been some in fish, but the amount is increasing. Although there's been some in the atmosphere from natural sources, volcanoes, human activities have increased the amount of mercury emitted to it and deposited from the atmosphere. And anthropogenic human-caused sources of mercury to the atmosphere are largely from combustion of materials that contain mercury with coal combustion, as we can see here. So, with that being said, mercury is quite a contaminant that can affect aquatic environments, it can affect fish, and it definitely is something to keep your eye out on. So in interest of maintaining our aquatic environments of safety, it's always a good idea to periodically have water tested for high levels of mercury.